Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another informative episode of Stopping the Stigma, the show where we talk about mental illness openly and frankly in the hopes that talking about it will help to remove the stigma around it and make our world better as a whole. Last week, we talked about what mental illness is, and we learned how common it is. This week, we're going to talk about what mental illness isn't. Part of the reason the stigma around mental illness exists is because there are so many myths surrounding it, and I'm going to debunk a couple of those today. However, there are a ton of myths about mental illness, and I can't tackle them all in one video, so this will be a topic that we will return to often. Myth number 1. Mental illness isn't a real illness, or the "it's all in your head" myth. I can't tell you how many times I've had someone to tell me to just stop being depressed or to just chill out during a panic attack. Many people with mental illnesses have to deal with this myth on a daily basis, from coworkers, friends, and even family members, because so many of the symptoms of mental illness are invisible. So, take a look at this. This is a positron emission tomography scan, or a PET scan, of a regular brain and a brain during depression. You may notice some slight variations there. A PET scan is a way for doctors to look at chemical activity in the brain. They use it to diagnose things like cancer, but more recently it's being used to help us learn more about how mental illness affects people. My very basic understanding is that dark colors mean less activity and bright colors mean more. In this scan, you can see the depressed brain has significantly less chemical activity than the regular brain. Then we can also look at this PET scan. This is an image of a regular brain next to the brain of someone dealing with OCD, another invisible illness. You can see the activity in the OCD brain is massively higher than the regular brain, with the OCD brain having quite a few red zones where both of the regular brains we've looked at only had a few yellow zones. So it isn't all in your head. This shows that the chemical reactions in the brains of those with mental illnesses react differently than a regular brain, and it's not something that can be fixed with simply positive thinking. It takes treatment from a licensed professional, which could be anything from therapy to medication and quite literally anything in between for different people. Myth number 2. People with mental illnesses are violent and dangerous. I like to call this one the gun control myth. Not because it has anything to do with gun control, but because the media brings it up every single time there's a mass shooting in the US. Invariably, they mention the mental state of the attacker, whether or not they actually had a diagnosable mental illness, and the conversation always goes along the lines that better mental health care could have prevented the attack. Except for the fact that there's absolutely no evidence that shows that people with mental illnesses are any more prone to violence than a regular person. Quite the opposite, actually. According to mentalhealth.gov, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and about half a dozen other sources, people with mental illnesses are no more prone to violence than the rest of the population. So no, mental health checks being a part of background checks for new gun owners will not lessen gun violence at all, since mentally healthy people are violent just as often as those with mental illnesses. However, according to those same sources, people with mental illnesses are significantly more likely to be victims of violence, sometimes as high as 10% more likely for those with a severe mental illness. This is one of the more dangerous myths, since it helps fuel the fear of those of us with a mental illness, and fear invites exclusion and violence. This needs to stop immediately before more people with mental illnesses are hurt or killed because of an unsupported myth. Like I already said, there are countless myths surrounding mental illness, and we will be returning to this topic often, but at least for today, that's going to be all for me. As always, if you'd like to help stop the stigma, please like this video to improve its searchability on YouTube and share it on social media to spread the word. You're also welcome to subscribe to this channel if you don't want to miss any of the other content that I make. If you'd like to help me make more videos like this, you can consider becoming one of my patrons. Your monthly gift helps me to afford everything from the software I use to edit everything, to equipment, all the way down to more basic needs like food and rent. However, this is entirely voluntary, and I will never stop making content simply because of a lack of patrons. Links for that are in the doobly-doo. If you have questions about mental illness or specific mental disorders, feel free to ask them and I will answer them in a future video if I can. You can comment below, tweet me, I'm @TrainerJody on Twitter, or you can go to my ask.fm page and ask the question anonymously. Links for that are in the doobly-doo as well. Again, that's all for me today, and I will see you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye!